Oh, Guff Gang. If you haven't already, hit subscribe down below. And check us out on Twitter at GrownUpFF for more fantasy football content. This is easily the hardest video I've ever had to do on this channel. My favorite NFL player, Julio Jones, wants out. And now this jersey that I recently hung up is irrelevant. So I am here to talk about trade destinations for a one Mr. Jones and me. All right, so first things first, I got 4 or 5 teams that I think are serious contenders to get Julio and acquire his services. And then I like a couple of different sleeper options. So I'm not going to keep you waiting. The number one team or destination that I think Julio Jones could end up in is the Tennessee Titans. Okay. Let's talk about the pros, okay? It's pretty shallow offense if you look at Tennessee's offense. You have Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. Behind Derrick Henry, not much there. And A.J. Brown is still there, but they just got rid of Corey Davis, and Adam Humphries is no longer there. So not a lot of depth in Tennessee. Julio would instantly become one of the best 1-2 combos with A.J. Brown. They'd be great. It'd be not really much of a drop-off, I wouldn't think, from the Falcons, the time he is on the Falcons with Calvin Ridley. He gives the offense like another dimension too, because you look at Tennessee's offense, they're obviously run first, which we'll talk about that in a second. But on play action, A.J. Brown has been hell for defenses, and add Julio Jones into the mix, even worse. Another pro is Julio wants to win. He's already came out and said that. So going to a team that's been to the playoffs the past couple of years, that's an obvious opportunity to win, somewhere he hasn't been since the Super Bowl run. And the other thing is Tennessee doesn't have a terrific defense to keep the offense, off the field pretty much. They're going to be in some shootouts. They have been in the past, and I think they'll continue to be in some shootouts. So that breeds more opportunity for Julio to get some catches and some touchdowns. So let's talk about cons. Like I said, Tennessee is a run-first team. I mean, when you have the freight train locomotive of Derrick Henry, you're going to run the ball. That also decreases some goal line opportunities for Julio as well. Of course, he is historically, or at least recently, he has not been a threat in the end zone. But, you're not really looking for touchdowns, I guess, so much with Julio. It's really a lot of yards and a lot of catches. The other thing is, this may not be a long-term acquisition for Tennessee. It's an expensive contract right now for Julio. Next year, I think his cap hit is significantly less. But I think A.J. Brown is in a contract year, so they're going to have to pay him pretty soon. And that may lead to a decision to make for the Titans. Do they need to cut Julio? Will Julio be willing to take a pay cut, to pay A.J. Brown? Time will tell. All right, second on the list, I have the New England Patriots. Yes, they have been heavily linked to Julio since all the trade rumors started because, let's talk about pros. Obviously, Julio would be the number one wide receiver on a very needy team in terms of wide receivers. Yes, they got Nelson Aguilar, and yes, they signed Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, but Julio Jones is a totally different animal than Nelson Aguilar or N'Keal Harry or any of the other guys that New England currently has. Another thing is Julio has come out and said he wants to play with Cam Newton, and Cam Newton is on the Patriots, so makes sense. Another thing is, Bill Belichick, we've seen this before, okay? Bill Belichick loves to find, veterans who may have looked like they've lost a step or something and, sign them on the cheap which won't really be cheap for Julio. But you think back, a lot of comparisons being drawn to the Randy Moss signing back in 2007 when the Patriots went undefeated, and Randy Moss had a terrific year. Another thing is they have a great offensive line. It's a little bit smaller of a pro, but they have a great offensive line, which could give the quarterback, if it's Cam Newton or Mac Jones, time to throw, to let Julio get more time to get open. And it gives their other weapons some flexibility to move around. So let's talk cons, okay? Last year, we did not really see what we thought we might get from Cam Newton, okay? He was not 2015 NFL MVP Cam Newton, but obviously there were factors to consider. Obviously it's a new system for him to learn, a totally new offense for him to learn, so that's kind of tough. Another thing is, we kind of went through a pandemic, and that kind of hindered his ability to really get in there and learn the offense. And then Cam even caught coronavirus, so he was out a couple of weeks. So a lot of things worked against Cam last year, so I kind of want to give him some of the benefit of the doubt here. But, we haven't seen it yet, so we can't guarantee that Cam is going to be able to support a wide receiver 1 on the Patriots with Julio. Another thing is, the Patriots just drafted their future quarterback in Mac Jones, so there could be some inconsistent quarterback play, which Julio, will have to deal with. Now, it's Julio Jones. He can make do with whatever, but it may be really a step down from what he currently has in Matt Ryan. Another thing is, Julio wants to win, and the Patriots, they could very well finish third in the division this year. The Bills are obviously loaded, and the Dolphins are pretty strong. I'm not sure if they're totally in contention. Now, they did make a bunch of moves this offseason, which very well could put them back in the spot in the AFC East, but I don't know yet. All right, at number 3, and this is one that I probably want to see happen the most, maybe, is the LA Chargers. Okay, let's just think about this from a fantasy perspective. You would have up-and-coming quarterback, offensive rookie of the year, Justin Herbert, throwing to Keenan Allen and Julio Jones, as well as Austin Eckler in the backfield. This offense, if you have a piece of this offense, I pray you'd be playing in a PPR league, because it's points galore, man. They would have instantly maybe the best 1-2 punch at wide receiver between Keenan Allen and Julio Jones. It would definitely raise the bar for that offense and make them possibly challenge the Chiefs for the division title. Probably not, but it would definitely upgrade that offense. Plus, it's a sunny climate. They got a brand new stadium, new digs. Julio wants a fresh start. That'd be pretty great. The cons here, though, are the Chargers really contenders for a spot in the playoffs? I did say that, I think the Chargers could make a run at the Chiefs, but that's just wishful thinking. The Chiefs are going to win that division, so they're going to have to get a wild card spot. And will they be able to do that? Now, they did have a lot of close games last year with Anthony Lynn coaching, so maybe with Anthony Lynn gone, maybe the decision-making is a little bit better, and possibly they come out on the right side of those really tight one-score games. Another thing is the defense had a lot of injuries last year. Now, they might be losing Melvin Ingram, but they still have Joey Bosa. Derwin James tore his ACL last year from Hard Knocks, so he'll be back. The defense should be better, which means that they possibly might not be getting into as many close games or possible shootouts. However, I think this offense is going to run through Herbert, and there's going to be plenty of passing opportunity for Julio to get a ton of points. So I would love that from a fantasy perspective, but I have the Chargers at number 3. All right, at number 4, I have the Baltimore Ravens, okay? Now, this would give Lamar Jackson a true and tested wide receiver 1 and make Hollywood Brown a great compliment, as well as new first-round pick Rashad Bateman. Now Rashad Bateman would have a great example to learn from and to hone his skills. A lot of people, I was really high on Rashad Bateman coming out of college into the draft. I thought he would go a little bit higher, but a lot of people in the industry had Bateman pegged for Baltimore, and I think that was still a really good pick. Another thing is the Ravens, are in a position to win right now, which would definitely satisfy Julio's want to win, and they could probably make the cap situation work. But let's talk about some cons here. Baltimore, with Lamar Jackson under center, is a run-first offense. Okay, they run the option. They run all kinds of different draws and all kinds of running plays that I can't think of right now. But they're going to run the ball. Lamar Jackson runs. When you have basically the heir apparent to Mike Vick under center, you're going to run the ball with the quarterback. Plus, they have J.K. Dobbins, who is a very, very, very talented up-and-coming running back. And the other thing is, with Lamar, wide receivers have historically kind of underperformed with Lamar at quarterback at Baltimore. We saw Steve Smith, Hall of Famer. He didn't really have great fantasy seasons. So that could be something to really take into account if Julio ends up on Baltimore. That could drop his draft stock and redraft and possibly dynasty startups. Another con is Baltimore has one of the best defenses in the league, so there may not be many shootouts to go around on Baltimore's side. So Julio may not have the best opportunity to catch a lot of balls, So he's going to have to. The thing is, if Julio goes to the Ravens, he's going to need 2020 A.J. Brown level efficiency to be able to just maximize as many points as he can get per catch on a run-first team. So I have the Ravens at number 4 on my list. All right, and rounding out the top 5, I actually switched this one just recently. I had another team I'll mention after, but at number 5, I have the Indianapolis Colts. Okay, another team that has definitely been linked to Julio since trade rumors started happening. This would give the Colts a true wide receiver 1 and make T.Y. Hilton and Michael Pittman great wide receiver 2 options. Okay, it gives the offense even a new dimension, pretty much. So you have Jonathan Taylor, who really came on in the last half of last season. They may not be a run-first team, even though you have Jonathan Taylor back there. You have Julio Jones now at wide receiver. And I think that if the Colts ended up with Julio, they would challenge the Titans for the AFC South. And they have been challenging the Titans recently, but this could push them over the hump. Now let's talk about cons, okay? That would be 2 very heavy contracts on the books for the Colts for this year with Carson Wentz and Julio Jones. So would they want to make that kind of financial decision? And along with that, is Julio possibly a rental, a 1-year kind of rental deal here? I wouldn't think so when you have a Hall of Famer type wide receiver right there, but I'm also very biased. The other thing is the Colts have a very good defense. So similar to Baltimore, they may not be in must-throw situations for Wentz. They could have a lead already and then just milk that lead with Jonathan Taylor. The other thing is goal line opportunities. And this is something that I didn't mention with Baltimore, but it also rings true for Indianapolis. When you have a very good run game, and this also counts for Tennessee too as a con. We have a very good run game like Derrick Henry with Tennessee, Lamar Jackson and J.K. Dobbins with Baltimore, and Jonathan Taylor in Indianapolis. Those goal line opportunities may not really be there for you. Plus, Wentz has been somewhat of a mobile quarterback too in the past. Let's not forget that he can run the ball. He possibly may take it in at the goal line with a couple of QB sneaks, maybe a boot. And there's always the possibility of a tight end to emerge. But I do think if we're in the red zone with the Colts, probably going to run the ball first. And if they have to throw, then that's an opportunity for Julio. But I have the Colts at number 5. All right, so that's my top 5 destinations for Julio if probably when he gets traded. Let's talk about a sleeper that I have, and that's Buffalo. Okay, if the Bills were able to swing this opportunity to get Julio Jones on this offense, oh my goodness, pairing Julio with Stephon Diggs is absolutely insane. Okay, that would be easily the best wide receiver duo in the league. They are definitely in a position to win right now. But they may have to get creative with cap space. Okay, let's talk about cons now. We've talked about those great pros with an incredible duo between Diggs and Julio, but some of the cons, they do have a very, very good defense, so there may not be a plethora of scoring opportunities like I've alluded to with other teams. Plus, Josh Allen could call his own number at the goal line. You know, he is a premier rushing quarterback, and that may not work out well for Julio. Another thing is, if the Bills get only as far as they have been getting with Julio, let's say they sign him thinking he is the piece to push them over the top. Let's say that they only get to the AFC Championship game maybe again. Would they consider him a one-and-done kind of thing and try to offload him somewhere else? Maybe. The other thing is, this is not a dome. Julio has been playing in a dome for 10 plus years in the league. He's going to Buffalo where it is stifling cold, the complete opposite of a dome. So it may happen with Buffalo, but I have them as an outside sleeper. And then a couple of other teams that may be looking at it. You cannot count John Gruden out with the Raiders. You know, of course, he's got to take a look into seeing if he can get Julio. Another team that may be considering it, Miami, has a lot of draft picks, and they could be willing to part maybe with some of those. You know, Atlanta wants a first-round pick. Miami has first-round picks that they possibly could give up for Julio. I probably don't see it, but you can't really count them out just yet. And another team that I think possibly should take a shot at Julio would be Cleveland. They've got cap space, and why not put OBJ, Jarvis Landry, and Julio Jones on the same offense with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt? That would be insane on paper, and it'd be just up to Baker Mayfield to evenly distribute the ball and fantasy points for everyone. So those are my top 5 destinations for Julio Jones if/probably when he gets traded, and a couple of sleepers in there too. If you'd enjoyed this video, I surely did not while making it, please put a thumbs up on there and leave a comment to where you think Julio is going to end up. I wish he would stay with Atlanta, but I don't see it happening. But please like this video. Please go subscribe wherever you are. Go grow up and get guffed.